Hello everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Today's video is on, it's like basically a solution of May-June 2023 a multiple choice paper, and this is the multiple choice paper in accounting is usually for 1 hour 15 minutes, and they basically give you 35 MCQs which you have to solve in 75 minutes here. So okay, so let's just start the paper here. What is the main function of bookkeeping? So basically the accounting cycle has four like a few steps that you need to, basically the whole accounting cycle has a few steps. So number one is basically using business documents to make the books of prime entry, and then you post things into the ledgers, and then you extract a trial balance, and then you make the income statement of financial position, and then decision making is done based on the financial statement. So here they're saying communicating information, not really. Bookkeeping is basically recording financial transactions, recording each and every transaction that the business undertakes. So the answer should be here, the answer should be C, because C basically is about recording information, recording every transaction. Then question number 2 is basically saying which components of a statement of financial position do descriptions 1, 2 and 3 relate to. So number 1 is finance and other resources that have been provided by the owner, so that is capital, and also equity. So your answer cannot be A and B, so either it's C or it's D. So the next description here is money owed for goods supplied, unpaid expenses, again liability, owed for goods supplied, so those are the amounts that you owe towards your trade payables. And then loans made to the business is basically your non-current liabilities. So again the second description is about liabilities, so the answer should be D, it should not be C. Okay, and the third description is about assets, of course. The next question is saying a check received from Kate, a credit customer, was dishonored. How was this check recorded? So basically whenever you receive a check from your customer, at that time you don't know that check is going to actually be dishonored in future. So whenever you're receiving your check from your customer, you basically do bank debit and Kate credit, for example, because Kate is the customer here. But the second journal entry is basically you reverse the entry, you do Kate debit and you write bank credit, because you need to basically reverse of what you did previously. So previously you recorded the money received in the debit side of the bank account and you credited the customer's account. Now you make the customer your customer again, so you debit the trade receivable and you credit the bank account. So answer should be B, that is Kate debit and bank credit. So that is the check. Basically the when the check gets dishonored, you make this entry, the second entry here. Okay, what does the sales ledger of a business contain? This is directly from theory. So sales ledger will have the accounts of trade receivables, purchases ledger will have the accounts of trade payables, cash book will have the account for bank and cash, and the rest of all the T accounts basically they'll go to the nominal ledger or the general ledger in the bookkeeping system. Basically the ledger is basically divided into subdivisions. So sales ledger is that subdivision which has the accounts, personal accounts of trade receivables only. Question number 5, which action is an example of double entry bookkeeping? So making a journal entry to record the correction of an error, this is just a journal entry. This is when you are posting it into the ledger. So basically in the T account, and you're making double entry, so you're debiting one T account and you crediting one T account, that is basically a double, that is basically part of double entry bookkeeping. This is just a journal entry, so this cannot be your answer. Making entries in the sales journal and the sales ledger to record goods sold on credit. So basically sales journal, in the sales journal you'll have the name of each and every trade receivable to whom you have sold goods on credit. Then when you are putting basically posting this into the sales ledger, that means you are debiting the trade receivables account, but now the double entry is not complete unless you credit the sales account as well. So this is basically also not indicating a double entry. if you see here, C is basically a double entry recording a check paid to a trade payable in the cash book and the purchases ledger. So the trade payable account in the purchases ledger is debited and the cash book is credited. So this is like a double entry here. D cannot be the answer again, because recording the purchase of goods on credit in the purchases journal. So in the purchases journal, you'll record the names of your suppliers from whom you've bought goods on credit, and then when you transfer that total into the purchases account, that means you're only debiting the purchases account here. The trade payables personal accounts are not being credited here, so this can also not be your answer. Okay, what is true about cash discount receipts? Yes, they are recorded in cash book, because there are two columns basically. On the debit side there's a discount allowed column, on the credit side there's a discount received column. So they are recorded in the cash book, yes. So C and D cannot be your answer. Then they do increase profit for the year, because yes, discount received are basically part of your income, and incomes are added to your profit, so it basically added to gross profit, so that will increase your profit for the year. Okay, question number 7 says Tahir prepared a trial balance. He entered both the balance on the discount allowed account, so basically discount allowed is an expense, and the bank overdraft. So discount allowed 900 is an expense here, and the bank overdraft 750 in the wrong column. So basically expense should be debited in the trial balance, and basically your bank overdraft should come on the credit side, but he reversed it. Actually he debited the bank overdraft and he credited the discount allowed account. So then they are saying which total of the trial balance was higher, and what was the amount of the difference between the total debit total and the credit total. So it's pretty obvious that if they have put 750 on the debit side and 900 on the credit side, and they have basically switched the sides, so that means your credit column is heavier. But the difference between the trial balance, so how do you take out the amount of difference between the both the sides of the trial balance? So here, if the discount allowed account is written on the credit side instead of the debit side, so what do? You basically, to correct it, you need to make this journal entry. You need to do discount allowed debit. You need to double the amount, because you had written it on the wrong side, and this will be discount allowed 1800, and suspense should be credited. So suspense here should be credited by 1800, and then your another account, so basically bank overdraft, if it's written on the credit side, so you need to double the amount. If it's written on the debit side, you need to double the amount and credit this, so that it comes on the correct side here, bank overdraft, and that will be 1500. So yes, suspense was going to be debited here. So what you do is, when you make the suspense account, you write discount allowed on the credit side and you write 1800, and you write here bank overdraft, and you write here 1500. And now see, the difference in trial balance is basically, which you begin with, is 300, because of which the trial balance wasn't balancing. The difference was 300, with which we started. Basically we started off, and we did not, they did not give us the difference in trial balance, that the original difference in trial balance. So A should be your answer here. Okay, question number 8 says goods sold on credit to J Sharp were debited in error in the account of T Sharp. So if you guys know each and every error that does not affect the trial balance, so this is basically the error of commission basically. Why? Because when you sold goods on credit to J Sharp, it's like you should do J Sharp debit sales credit, but you did T Sharp debit sales credit. So it's like both T Sharp and J Sharp are your customers, but the class of account is correct. Both the accounts are trade receivables account, both the accounts are assets account, but the account itself is wrong. So you have wrongly debited the other person. So answer should be A, that is error of commission. Then they are saying Khalid made entries in the suspense account to correct 2 errors found in the ledger accounts. Once the errors were corrected, the suspense account was closed. So error number 1 was 700 sales had been omitted from the sales account. So that means sales is understated. So when you want to increase sales, you increase the sales by crediting the sales account. So credit sales by 700 and suspense debit by 700. So only one side, because you only did not record that in the sales account, so you just record it in the sales account and you debit suspense against it. And error number 2 is the purchases journal had been overcast by 550. So that means the total of the purchases is over added. So that means to correct that, you need to credit purchases. Normally purchases is debited, but if purchases is over added, so you need to credit the purchases account to remove the remove that amount by which the purchases was over added. So you credit purchases by 550 and again you debit suspense by 550. So now when you make the suspense account, so suspense is debited twice here. So you say here sales and 700 and purchases here and 550. So what they are asking here is which entry was made in the suspense account to balance the trial balance. So basically the difference, or basically you need to take out the original difference between both the sides of the trial balance, debit side and the credit side. So if both of these are recorded on the debit side of the suspense account, you need to write the original difference on the credit side. So 700 plus 550 should give you 1250. So initially we started by a 1250 credit in the suspense account. That was the original difference between both the sides of the debit side and the credit side. Okay. Maya depreciates her motor vehicle at 25% per annum using the straight line method. The motor vehicle had a cost of 15,000. Depreciation for the current financial year was incorrectly calculated at 15% per annum instead of 25% per annum. So how will correcting the profit, basically how will correcting the error affect the profit for the year? So we had to basically record depreciation of let's say we had to record depreciation 15,000 multiplied by 25%, which gives us 3750, and we had actually recorded 15,000 multiplied by 15%, which gives us 2250, which means we have understated the expenses. So we have understated the expenses by 1500. So now what you'll do is that when you correct the error, your profit will decrease by 1500, because when you had initially put the depreciation, you had put a lower value, that is 2250 instead of 3750. Now when you correct the error, your expenses will go up by 1500 and your profit will decrease by 1500. So that is it for this video. We'll be continuing the paper in the next video. Thank you so much.